the last Mike Rosehart live stream. It's with a heavy heart and, a bit of sadness on the inside that I am declaring today is the last Mike Rosehart live Wise Wealth show. After more than 7 years of never missing a Wednesday live, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when my daughters were born, when I had COVID, in the hospital once, Christmas Day, I've never missed a live stream in over 7 years. That dedication produced over 400 hours of pre-recorded content that you can watch anytime. So this episode will be the last for now. I'm going to put it on pause. I just don't find that I'm answering or providing enough value that it's worth it. And I want to change things and shift things so that in the future, I can provide more value for you. So I might do a monthly video that's pre-recorded instead of doing what I'm doing now, which is these live streams every week. I know a lot of you are going to miss it. I've gotten a lot of messages. This stream, if you have any questions that have been burning, throw them in the bottom of the Q&A and I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to start just by talking for a little bit about, the last 7-8 years and what's changed. And I was reflecting back to one of my first episodes. I went and watched it, and it's crazy to see my camera presence over time and how I've developed as an investor and as a human being. And a lot of you guys have been from the start following this whole journey. And so for that, I guess almost 8 years now of loyalty, I'm so thankful for all of you. And I will continue to make content. I'm not going anywhere. You'll still find me on Instagram. You'll still find me on Facebook. I post every day on Instagram. I'm still going to release some content on YouTube, but I just don't feel these live streams are doing that much for people. If there's enough demand for it, I might make some sort of mastermind where I can speak freely. My viewpoints won't come back to hurt me, because a few of these live streams have come back to bite me in the ass. And that's been part of what's led to the fuel of making a change. And I don't know that it's good for me to get on here every week and journal. In some ways it is, and for a lot of you guys, you got a lot of value out of it. And for those people who do get value out of it, I'm here still to provide value. But it's crazy. Looking back 7-8 years ago, I was doing my first stream. Graham Stephan was had a few thousand followers on YouTube. And he joined in on the live stream. We did it together, I think. So if you go way back, you'll see that. And it's crazy to see how he has millions of subscribers and he's making millions a year from his YouTube channel. It's crazy how I didn't prioritize that. Instead, went into things like real estate and my 3 kids and all the other things that I've done on this journey. But looking even at my real estate investing journey, I had maybe a dozen properties when this is 8 years ago. So I would have been 23, 24. I would have been 24, I guess, when I started streaming with you guys. And now I'm going to be 32 soon. I'm 31, but it's one of those things where so much has changed. I've done hundreds of deals. I've been involved in tens of millions of real estate deals. I now am a hotel player. It's crazy. We have 6 hotel motel resort properties, which is exciting and wild. And I've accomplished things that I didn't know that I'd be able to accomplish when I started out. I think I got further than I thought that I would get, but obviously not as far as I know that I could have. And so I'll always be hard on myself, knowing that I could always do more and be more. But there's sacrifice. Everything in life, guys, and girls who watch this, has sacrifice. And my argument has always been that the sacrifices required to unlock financial independence are far greater benefit in the long term and far greater return on your investment into the rest of your life that will pay dividends. So I still stand by the sacrifices you need to make to unlock financial independence are 100% worth it. You could press me and say that once you've unlocked, average financial independence and retiring early, there is still a level of pushing toward. A lot of these guys that do this will push towards luxury fire, which is just stupid, copious amounts of money, making sure you could cure cancer, change the trajectory of the world, just copious amounts of money for the sake of various goals of growth and whatnot. And I got caught up in that too. My net worth since I started streaming with you guys has 12x'd. So I've grown 1200% over 7 years. That's a lot. It's more than I expected. I probably could have done a lot better if I didn't get into the trading and some of the crypto and options and NFTs and silly things like that. My net worth would be much, much higher today. but still did very well, all things considered. And looking back on this era over the last 7, 8 years, I'm so thankful for everyone who's been along this journey with me. A lot of you guys have reached out. We've spent time together. So many of you who follow the live streams every week have come and been a part of my life. And I wouldn't have you in my life if it wasn't for this medium of communication. So I'm thankful for YouTube. I'm thankful for the live streams. Despite the fact that I'm quitting the live streams for now, doesn't mean that I might not bring them back behind a paywall. I just don't want them publicly available to use my words against me. And honestly, I don't know if the ROI is there. It's possible that I could do a live stream like I'm doing now, but with a mastermind or some sort of like mentorship program with a more select, tailored group of people who are trying to take action on the advice that I'm providing. And I can be much more targeted with what I'm speaking on if I'm not, in the open, the open world, the public eye. So there is maybe still a play where I can get involved in helping you guys still through this journey. And of course, I'm accessible always. You can always leave a comment. You can always find me on Instagram at Mike Rosehart, blue check mark. Look on Facebook, Mike Rosehart, blue check mark. I check my socials fairly regularly. I don't get every message. Some stuff slips through the cracks. I'll admit there's a lot of content that I get sent my way. But if you are persistent, you usually can find a way to get through to me. And so for all of you who are loyal this entire time, there is still almost, I guess, 350 episodes you can go through to watch the pre-recorded stuff and enjoy that content. But yeah, it's been a ride. I've really enjoyed delivering these for you guys. I wanted to prove that I could do something, 10,000 hours, let's say. And I think I did that here with YouTube and showed my consistency. It's been an effort some days to get on here when I haven't had a lot of sleep, or my kids are being extra difficult, or I've got a million fires to put out in the business. I still showed up and I was still here. And for that, that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like, forget the 1,200% growth in my net worth, forget the, the whole financial independence thing, or the Lux Fire lifestyle that I've unlocked now. And, I'm thankful for that too. And you guys have been part of that journey. Some of you guys have invested with me along the way and funded and helped fuel some of this growth. We've done deals together. A lot of you guys, a lot of my investor following jump on these live streams, and you'll still be able to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. So it's not like you can't still follow along with what's going on in my life. And I will still try my best to commit to making pre-recorded videos. They'll be similar to how they are now, but just we won't have the same interaction. I won't be doing live streams. I'll be pre-recording videos on various topics. I'll try to set some sort of cadence maybe once a month. We've tossed around releasing a video every Wednesday. I don't know if I can keep up with that without burning out. I don't enjoy editing, so the quality of those videos probably won't be very good. Admittedly speaking, I'm going to just take my phone and give you guys some knowledge, whatever's been going on. I might do like a market update every so often and just share, those sorts of things with you on YouTube. And of course I do that daily on Instagram. So really excited for this shift, this change up. To me, like, it's weird. I always get excited coming on here and you guys pump my energy up. When I finish a live stream and everyone's in there and jumping in the comments, I feel so great. But every Wednesday afternoon, I would get dread about what am I going to talk about today, and a bit of nerves and anxiety and all this. So that part, I'm relieved to no longer have to be on every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. So after 7 long years, it's nice to have a bit of to not be a slave to the 7 p.m. or the 6:45. Gotta get ready to jump on the show. Whether I'm driving to Florida, I got to stop off at McDonald's and do a live stream. That's happened multiple times, by the way. All that kind of stuff. It's just going to be nice to not have that. So it's a lifestyle thing for me too, making a shift. I also just felt that there was a time where my streams would get 200-300 concurrent views at once at my peak. And now I get 30 or 40 tune in. 1,000 of you guys watch the replay, 1,100. So there's 1,100 loyal people that tune in. The odd stream, I might get 2,000 views, which is still great. I'm really thankful that you guys still tune in, because it's the same boring content. To me, it feels like anyway, but I guess to you guys, there's still value there and people are still tuning in. So it's, I have to think about how to engage my audience in a fresh way. I've changed so much over the last 7-8 years that my initial core base loved frugality. And then I got so wealthy. There were points in 2020, 2021, where I made $2 million in a year. So I was earning a couple $100,000 a month. It made frugality hard to focus on. when you're making the kind of money I was making, $2,000, $3,000 an hour on average for my time, some hours I'd make nothing, some hours I'd lock up a deal, make 30 grand for an hour of my time. When those types of things are happening in a business, you have to start changing your perspective, realizing that your time is really valuable. And you need to focus on the growth as opposed to the cost efficiencies. And as your wealth grows, what you save doesn't matter near as much as what you can earn. And so that's been a mindset shift. You guys have probably noticed, followers who've been following this since the beginning, they'll see that shift in me where I valued frugality so much. And you need to value frugality in the beginning. When you're saving, when you're working hard and building up your net worth in the beginning, those savings are so important. Like, you need that start for the snowball to start rolling. Once it's rolling, taking handfuls of snow don't matter as much. It's the snowball is going to build itself, and your focus is like, how do I get the snowball to move as fast as it can down the hill and clear things out of the path in front of it. That's what kind of has happened to me over time. And that growth over time has been interesting to watch. And sometimes I go back and watch some of my odd, I'll just click on a random video from 6 years ago or 5 years ago or 3 years ago, just to see where my mindset was at. And it's interesting to see the highs and the lows. And I've had some lows too. Like, you guys have followed me through this 7-8 year journey through some of the lows. I think in 2020, there was a bit of a low. In 2023, I had a really bad, like, even this year has been a terrible year. Real estate has gone down in Ontario. My stock portfolio got like decimated by shorting some high growth tech names. Just the crypto mining thing went obsolete for a while there. In 2022, we had the crypto dip. I had a couple million in I had today's value 12 million in Bitcoin when things dropped. And you got to remember, Bitcoin went from like what? It was like 70 something thousand to like 20,000. It like 70% of its value chopped off. And I actually liquidated some at the bottom because real estate was also in the tanker and I wanted to buy opportunities in real estate. So it's been crazy to watch like my failures too and learn from. My job as someone who's managing a small portfolio of wealth, like a small family office, would be to allocate my soldiers as the general, my money soldiers, as best I can. And there's been times where I haven't always allocated the best that I can. I've made mistakes and I've overpaid contractors and had people steal from me and had bad staff you have to let go and I've had fires and floods. I've had hurricanes now. We just experienced that. It was brutal. It was quite a bit of damage. Went through Milton, went right through Daytona Beach, unfortunately. I've had the setbacks. I've had all those things happen. I've had the bad tenant stories. I've had the person you can't evict for 2 years in court and they got off on technicalities. And I think I lost $45,000 in rent. I've had all those horror stories. And so I've had the highs and the lows, but overall, I'll share with you guys that I would do it all again, maybe slightly differently this time, but I would do it all again. And I guess the juice is worth the squeeze and the reward is worth the sacrifice. And maybe that's a bit of, from the psychology perspective, when you think back to like this term of cognitive dissonance, basically the idea that when you do something, your brain rationalizes that what you did was the right thing, irregardless, because it's the way the human psyche rationalizes making choices, right? It's like when people take a course, as an example, they often justify why the course was valuable, even if it wasn't, because they spent the money on it and they spent the time on it. And so they have to rationalize why they didn't waste their money or their time. It's a well-studied phenomenon, but I'm thinking that's not entirely at play here. I'm fairly conscientious in looking inward and taking those breaths of self-reflection. And I think that's been helpful throughout my journey. And it's been something that I'm going to keep doing. Despite not having these live streams, I'm going to still try to create content and value for you guys. So I'm going to jump over to the live stream. I just wanted to take like the first 15 minutes here to sort of give you a little preamble. I'm sure I'll preamble or post-amble a little bit at the end too, and just kind of riff off whatever you guys have in the comments there. It's bittersweet. I'm excited for the next chapter and to see what's next. And maybe that is, I have a few mentees right now, and I have been sort of doing an ad hoc mentorship program, but I don't really have anything formalized or finalized. It is low-hanging fruit. It would be, great ROI for me to focus on training and coaching. I think that probably you'll see me pivot into larger multifamily and continue to do that as I've been doing, but less of the small stuff, all into the bigger buildings to build wealth for the long term. I like real estate as a vehicle to park wealth in that's non-callable debt, which is great. So when you go through recessions, you just hold and you're fine and you always win and the debt never gets called and the debt services itself. So it's kind of pretty awesome. And then I think they'll probably see me some sort of consulting or and lending fund. So consulting and lending. A lending fund would make a lot of sense. So if people have any interest in that and partnering up in a lending fund, I do think that that's, for me, something quite interesting. I could see my final stage with a nice big lending fund. I love that there's no 2 a.m. calls. I love that I get to partner with young guys who are doing the flipping, who are in the places I was in before, mentor them, teach them, show them what I was able to do, and then, of course, fund that deal and share in the profit. And in some cases, the lending rates can be so good that I could take 20, 30% of a flip's profit through these lending projects where I'm getting a great amount of profit funding these deals, and I have none of the stress. I'm there at the high level, and I have hardly any of the risk either. I mean, the person venturing takes all the risks, so it's a very good risk-adjusted return. It's a great place that I'd like to be now that I've built up a good amount of wealth. I could just coast off that and just live a really good quality life where I don't need to worry about money, really at all, unless I guess I would need to worry about it in the sense that like my ego wants to grow, and so there's like that whole game of like I gamify money, and money's a game. Life's a game in a lot of ways. You can gamify a lot of what you do in life. So, all right, we're gonna do the Q&A real quick. There's a ton of questions building up, and I'm excited to kind of answer them all. How you doing there? Thuran says, Mikey. Hey, Mike, this is terrible news. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys will still see me. Of course, I'll still be on occasionally, and I might do the odd live stream here or there. I just don't want to keep up with the weekly show anymore. So there'll be some changes there, and stay tuned. Keep checking in. Don't give up on me. Hit the notification bell. I'll keep dropping some videos here and there. It just won't be in the same cadence or the same style of delivery that it is now. You'll be missed. We watch these every week. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate that comment. I know a lot of you guys are going to miss this, and I'm going to miss a lot of you guys too. Let's still stay in touch, obviously. It's not the end. It's just a shift in how we deliver the content. How to invest for cash flow to be a full-time investor is the question. So I guess to answer your question, Mike, there's a lot of ways to do it in real estate. Like you can dice up real estate lots of ways. You can work a full-time job and buy properties that are quality properties, turnkey, and not spend a lot of energy on it. And even bring in, like you can even bring in property management and it can be relatively passive. Or you can make it a full-time active business. And real estate is, the thing I love about real estate is that it can and is a business. And so it's really just all the things that work in business work in real estate too, but it's a very low risk business. If you mess up, you buy a business and you mess up and your staff leave, it's really hard to replace them in a normal business. You lose clients, you're screwed. In real estate, everyone needs housing. They don't want to move often, so your customer is very sticky. They're paying rent, so they don't tend to leave. So you get a guaranteed customer. If they leave, it's really easy to find a new customer to bring into your unit to rent. So it's a really, like, you don't have to be good at sales to do well at real estate. And I like that about real estate because majority of people aren't actually good at sales and they struggle with it. And again, 90-something% of all entrepreneurs fail. In real estate, the failure rate is very low if you can hold a property for like a 5 or 10 year period. So that's what I like about real estate is when I coach people into, thinking about how do we deploy our wealth. Well, if you buy a business, you can lever up your business and get a great return, but there's a lot of risk there. And the underlying asset isn't super solid. But with land, no matter how you screw it up, you put the bad tenants in, you still have the building and the land. It's hard to lose to the same extent that you can lose in business, but you can get those great returns. Like if you lever up 5-to-1, putting a 20% down payment on a building, and it's generating a 10% cap rate or 10% ROA, and your cost of debt's 4%, I mean, your spread is almost 3-to-1, you can get a 30-40% passive return on your capital. So Mike, to circle back to your question about how do you generate a full-time income? Well, I think initially you have to have a sizable amount of capital to build a big enough portfolio to sustain yourself, unless you decide to do real estate full-time with your time as well, in which case you can build a business around real estate and assigning contracts as a wholesaler, in flipping real estate where you buy a property, quickly turn it around, bring in a team of contractors, put it for sale, make a nice profit and go on to the next project and do it again and again and again. And if you do several churns a year of property, you could generate a good multiple six-figure income fairly easily. I think flipping is hard to scale at the big leagues. Like it's really hard to do a 7 or 8 figure flipping business, but it's really easy to do a multiple low 6-figure flipping business. I think pretty much anyone who is fairly good at like basic project management or even construction can do a few flips a year if they can look where to find a property, run their numbers and make sure there's enough margin there, and then manage that budget, get it to completion and sell it. There's lots of projects out there. A lot of people don't want to do the work. So if you do want to do the work, tons of money to be made in real estate. There's been many years where I made 500 to a million just on real estate growth on my portfolio alone by doing some turnover of units, and that means getting up bad tenants and cleaning up the units, painting, flooring, little stuff like that. You can coordinate on your phone from your couch with a weekly site visit. That's a lot of work. I mean, on your phone, you'll be doing a lot of texting and quotes and all of that kind of stuff that goes along with building a real estate business. But I like real estate in general because it's a fairly passive business. And it can be, once you stabilize the properties, it can be very systematized and automated. And I like that about it. And that it's very rip and replace. So like if a property manager is bad, you can unplug them and plug a new property manager in. If your contractor's bad, you can unplug, and there's 20 more on Kijiji and Marketplace and whatever you can plug back into the business. And so because it's so generic, it's really easy to rip and replace pieces of the business so that it can continue to function. And so I really like that about a real estate portfolio. And in general, the leverage is what makes real estate so sexy. It's really hard to borrow against a business, but it's really easy to borrow against a property. If you go find out, you can go find it right now. If you spend 50 to 100 hours looking for a $200,000 property in Southwestern Ontario, they exist in the more rural areas outside of the major metropolitans. You'll find lots of towns where there's $200,000 properties that's worth, say, $300,000. So you found a property for $100,000 discount. You can unlock equity day one. You can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 just on the buy, just by going through enough deals and saying, here's what the market data suggests the properties are worth. I can buy it for here, and just arbitraging that. That alone, making money on the buy, is so easy in real estate. And I like that you can lever that up too. Like you could lever it up so you could have no money in the deal and control the business. It's difficult to find businesses where you can buy them with no money down. They exist and the deals can be done, but it's a lot easier in real estate. And in business, you'll have covenants where the bank will be auditing your financials every year. So if you have a bad year, they could call the loans. But in real estate, they never call the debt. As long as you can make the mortgage payments, the debt will stay. Whereas in the stock market or against other more fungible assets that are easily liquidated, if the stock falls below a certain amount and you've applied that much leverage to a stock portfolio, you get wiped out. I've experienced that firsthand. Whereas in real estate, that will never happen. And so I think real estate still is a superhuman superpower for building financial independence, for building a nice little portfolio to retire on, such that I wrote an article on this in 2016. I don't know if I can find it again, but it was like the financial independence world assumes a 4% safe withdrawal rate. So that's the logic behind how much money you need to retire, right? The idea is like 25 years of living expenses set aside would generate enough in income from that portfolio that you never have to touch the original principal. You live purely on the interest, and it leaves you enough excess on the income of that portfolio that you can put back in inflation every year. And so your portfolio and your income into perpetuity grows forever, and you never run out of money ever, and you can leave that portfolio to your kids and your kids' kids if you set it up properly. That's the proper financial independence vehicle. With real estate and a little bit of leverage, you can take a little bit of effort in the beginning to stabilize and set up a portfolio, because there's a lot of work to build the portfolio and set it up and to acquire the right assets, stabilize them, get them systemized. Then it can become passive. But when you initially acquire an asset, there's a fair bit of work to that stabilization process. But once you set it up and you build that right portfolio in real estate, I like that you can, this is why I surmised in the paper, was you can withdraw 8% safe withdrawal rate with real estate. So twice the withdrawal rate without ever depleting the principal. In fact, the mortgage paid on over time was so aggressive that the portfolio doubled against inflation. So that's the interesting thing with real estate, is it just performs on average. Looking at the data that I was looking at, now, there might be markets like Toronto, Vancouver, New York, LA, where the cap rates are so low that that isn't true. But in the markets that I looked at, which are more tertiary markets in Florida and in Ontario, and there's some other places I looked in out west as well, and I looked out east. So I picked, I think, somewhere like Edmonton, I think I picked, and I picked somewhere out east. It was like Newfoundland or Nova Scotia. And I basically picked a bunch of random cities and was like, can this be set up so you can withdraw 8% a year, which means if you run the math on that, you need like 12 years of savings. So which means you could retire in like under 5 years. Someone working a full-time job, saving 50, 60% of their income and investing in real estate could retire in under 5 years. So it's like everyone can retire in less than 5 years. They can build a portfolio that produces enough income that they can work at it very part-time. Once it's systematized, 4 or 5 hours a week, and collect enough income, they can live on that. So that was a beautiful thing to me. It was like a light bulb moment where it's like, wow, the power of real estate as a business. And it's so easy. Whereas like, there's so many different businesses out there, but I think real estate's the easiest and the safest to teach because it's so hard to fuck it up. It's so hard. Like most of the mom and pops running real estate are not smart, not educated, not even that hardworking, and they still make a go of it. So many landlords in the long term win, and where they shouldn't. In the business world, they'd be crushed because they're just not good operators, but it doesn't matter because it's really hard to not rent a unit out at market value. If you misprice a unit by $100, you'll get multiple tenants trying to rent the unit, right? It just like the business runs itself. It's hard to not sell. The property kind of runs itself, and over time continues to appreciate in your benefit. And so I like that about real estate. It's like the stock market on steroids, or a business that's relatively safe. So I like real estate, my capital in that business. So I've had my foray into a little bit of venture capital too, and I'll probably do more of that in the coming years. But I really do think that real estate as an asset class is amazing. It should be a core pillar in everyone's financial portfolio. And I don't like REITs as much as I like owning individual real estate because of the massive amount of leverage you can put on an individual property versus in a REIT. You're going to have maybe 50-60% loan to value typically in debt, and then there's a lot of management fees and overhead, and they don't have the efficiencies to deliver. Like, it's hard to pick up that many unicorn deals, whereas I could teach in a few weeks, I could teach someone, if they spend enough time, they apply themselves for 100 hours, how to find real estate at a big discount. I cannot teach you to buy Apple shares at a discount. They trade perfectly in the market. Whatever the price they're selling at, that's what they're selling at. There's no way to buy Granny's shares for 80 cents on the dollar. But I can teach you how to buy Granny's house off of her for 70 cents on the dollar. I can teach you how to pick up a foreclosure sale, or pick up an estate sale, or pick up someone who's distressed. And we can pick up those deals for a great price, even from a lot of landlords. They get fed up. They don't want to deal with this stuff. They're rich. They don't care. They're like, look, I made all of my money in my life. I don't want to go fight with this tenant to get them evicted. You come take that headache over. I'll pay you 100 grand to take that tenant liability on. And so there's lots of opportunity all around the world in real estate. So yeah, love real estate. All right, next question. Let's go in the Q&A. I'm gonna do some more rapid fire here. Try to get through some of these because there's a lot of you guys jumping in here. Wow, awesome. Thanks for the live streams. No problem, Johnny Bahama. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I found you and appreciate the value you have. I'll have to start rewatching all the live streams. No problem, happy to do it. Darn, says Port City. Jay Cabral says, how many views needed to cut the hair? I'll probably trim it up. Like, it's getting a little crazy right now, admittedly. I probably should give it a little haircut, take it up a bit. But no, I like the long hair. You know what? I don't know how much longer I'll have my hair like this, but I've just been enjoying the surfer vibe. There's no amount of money or no amount of views, I think, that would... You give me 1 million views, I'll cut my hair off. How about that? Something that won't actually happen. 50 of you guys on the live stream tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming in tonight and for being here. Thanks for all the love, Ethan says. Thank you, all the live streams. Got a lot of value over the years from the streams. I'm sure your new content will be good too, hopefully. And the nice thing about if I create like little 5 or 10 minute snippet videos on like a specific thing, like, you know, I don't know, we'll think of topics, but maybe it's something specifically around real estate or specifically around tax or whatever. You can share those sound bites and come back to them. So I think by parsing out the content, I'll get better viewership, and you guys can share it better. I can share it better on socials. I think we're gonna be able to reach a larger audience, and I'll be able to give you better targeted stuff. I know myself, if I'm looking at like an hour-long video and I'm busy, I don't have time to watch the whole stream. If there was like a bunch of little 5-minute clips, that would be better for me to digest. We're in a world now where people don't want to watch hour-long streams. They want to watch like a 2-minute snippet or a 5-minute snippet. And so I guess I have to get with the times. The time of live streaming, I guess, isn't bearing with me in the same way that it did before. And, you know, I appreciate everyone tuning in tonight, and I'm trying to give you guys the best send-off I can. And of course, I'm going to still do the odd one here and there, and I'll produce content for you guys. It's not the end. It's just an end of one segment of how I deliver content, which is the live streams. And yeah, okay, I'll keep going with the questions. Yuri says, thank you for dedicating 7 years to us. It's a lot of value. Good luck. Shaylin says, hey, Mike, sad to see you go. Quick question. Do you ever play the credit card miles and points game? I found it to be one of the most valuable hobbies, and I love it. Curious if you tried it too. Yeah, I used to be a big credit card churner. So people who churn credit cards would sign up for a credit card, do what they have to do for 90 days, spend what they have to spend to get the points, then use the points to go places. I went on my honeymoon in 2014 to Brazil completely on points. My wedding ring here, it's engraved. I got this through, same thing, churning. Ended up getting enough points to buy my wife and I's stuff that cost us $0. There's been a lot of ways where I've been, in the beginning, all those frugal hacks were worth it. This stage in the game where I'm at now, I don't do any of that. I just don't have the energy for it. I can make $1,000 an hour picking up the phone and doing deals or something with real estate or helping someone with real estate, that it just isn't a good use of my time anymore. There was a time though where I would stand in line for groceries to get my 10% student discount card out and price match everything. And I just don't do that as much anymore, but I'm still frugal to my core. Like it's a piece of who I am. So if I can go save 10 bucks, the thrill I get from the savings, I still like, you can ask my wife, we'll be like walking around like, oh, it's like $16 for a salad. Like, no, let's go over here. It's 12 bucks. Like for $4 difference, I'll eat somewhere else just cause like, they're overpriced out of principle. I don't want to go there. So I'm still sometimes very frugal to my core. And even in my business, it's been something I've been actually working on trying to improve in the business world. Being frugal can be a mistake. Cost control is super important, but I've been burned hiring the guy who isn't maybe the best, but is the cheapest. And it costs me twice as much in the end because of that. So it's interesting to see, you know, that mindset shift where spending more sometimes actually gets you more. So you hire someone at 80 grand a year to do a job instead of 40 grand a year to do the job, and you'll get twice as much out of the person doing 80 grand. They'll deliver 160 grand in value to your business, but the 40 grand person delivers 40 grand. So you're breaking even on that person. And that was a weird concept to me, that like people aren't all equal was one. And like there is vast differences between people and between quality. And I wasn't always valuing that. And it depends on the stage in your life in which you're at. There was a stage in my life where like East Side Mario's tasted the same as a Michelin star restaurant to me. And I actually went to New York on a business trip, and I had $1,000 plate of food. This is in 2015, and I came back, and I kid you not, my wife made a nice meal. I came home, I was like, I prefer my wife's cooking at home to the Michelin star restaurant. This is like one of the best in New York. It's $1,000 a plate or something back then. Probably inflation adjusted, $1,500 a plate now. And it was like a 7-course meal, and they kept bringing out like quail eggs and like beef tartare, and it was good. It was all right, but it wasn't that good. Like I wouldn't say like back then, East Side Mario's was like a $20 dinner. It's probably a $30 dinner now, but a $20 dinner, honestly, I got the same amount of value. Probably, I actually left that Michelin star restaurant a little bit hungry. I think I stopped that night and went and got a burrito after in New York. And like, I never leave East Side Mario's hungry. And so it's like, it was wild that the value perception over time has changed. And maybe I value some of the other stuff more now, but it's just an interesting shift. You'll notice like I've been journaling for so long and tracking my own self and doing a lot of self-reflecting with you guys and sharing with you in that journey through my highs, my lows, a lot of failures. Like I fail all the time. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm human, just like everyone else. A lot of people say, oh, like, Mike's so smart. He's this and that. And like, I'm not that much different than anyone else. I just like my grit and my perseverance is really high. So I just keep going when other people don't. And that's probably the thing that like differentiates me the most. I might be slightly above average in intellect, but like that isn't the thing that determines success. I would say it's more important to be hardworking and dedicated than it is to be like intelligent or efficient. Those things are important. Like, of course, you want to improve your efficiency and your, the way that you do things, but really it comes down to grit. And yeah, okay, I had to hit some more questions here. There's tons of questions. You guys are all jumping on this stream, leaving me some nice feedback, and I really appreciate it. I wanted a nice send off, so I'm glad a lot of you guys are coming on and giving me the send off. John, thank you for the emoji. John says, hey Mike, do you spend on marketing to get your flips in your market, or how are you mainly getting flip deals? So a lot of the stuff that falls in my lap now, I'm not actually actively looking for flips right now, or actively looking for buildings. I'm pretty full. We just acquired a whole bunch of real estate. I have tens of millions of real estate right now that we just acquired in the last year. I'm actually satiated. I don't want more, but I've planted so many seeds before. And so things that I was doing to keep the deal flow was like, I was calling up realtors in my market and saying, hey, I'm looking for X and Y. I saw you had this listing before. If something like that comes up in the pocket listing or before it hits market, call me first so I can have that edge to get in there before it's on market, or so I can make a decision by the time it hits market. I already know, I've already evaluated the whole deal and I can move quicker. And speed has been probably one of my greatest assets in real estate. Is like, I'm ready, aim, fire, boom, and I just go. Like I'm quick with making a deal. You can't sit and get analysis paralysis and all of that. You have to be quick to succeed in real estate. A lot of it is like the best deals go so quick that you need to be able to evaluate and know what you're doing quick and take a little bit of risk. And I'm not afraid to take risk. That's been something that again, has served me well for the most part. It has burned me a few times, but my ability to jump on something and then pivot after has been a core asset, I would say. throughout time. But in terms of marketing leads specifically, like a lot of it is just like bootstrapping, like calling agents, going on Facebook Marketplace and looking for things that are for sale by owner. Kijiji, same thing, used to be a big source. Realtor expired listings used to be a decent source. Stale listings right now are huge. Stuff sitting on market that just isn't selling. You can go there and offer, if it's listed for 700, offer like 550. And MLS is actually a really great source of deals. It wasn't in the peak of the market, but it is now. There's stuff, I have stuff listed right now in cottage country that's selling at like 200,000 below appraised value, listed at way below what it's worth. And still no one's even offering. There's just no capital out there. By the way, market update, I'm calling it next week. We're getting a jumbo cut, 50 basis points here in Canada, another 50 basis points. We're gonna be in the 5%, I guess, what would that be at 5.9% prime coming. So rates are gonna start falling again further. I see at least a jumbo cut and then a bunch more 25 basis point cuts. I am still calling for 2.99 5-year fixed mortgages by the springtime. Worst case scenario by the fall next year. So in the next 12 to 18 months, we are going to see mortgage rates back in the 2s on the 5-year fix. Very excited for that. I think it's going to be bullish for real estate in the long term. I'm all in. I'm going to keep going all in on that thesis until I see data that proves otherwise. I think it's possible we get deflation. We got 1.6% inflation here in Canada in our last inflation report, down by 0.4. So Canada economy is not well, unfortunately, in Canada. We do not have a good economy. Jobs are bad, although they were just adjusted up. So we had a stronger jobs report and a lower inflation, which is like full on green light for cutting rates. Rates are too high. They're overly restrictive. That's good. I can tell you from talking to business owners and real estate investors, we are spent. We are tired. We are holding on to capital because we don't know what the future holds. And as rate cuts come, we will jump into the market and deploy capital. So you will see a massive pull from like savings accounts, GICs, bonds, fixed income stuff into real estate. When real estate had a 5 cap and bonds were paying 6% risk free, you could go negotiate like Bell Canada bonds at 7%. It was hard to want to buy real estate. And so obviously demand fell, and that's going to shift. Same with dividend stocks. Dividend stocks are a huge value right now. Canadian dividend stocks are tax preferred. There's a number of things I think are really great for those 7% yielding Canadian eligible dividend stocks. As we see savings account rates fall to 2% again, capital is going to flee. It's going to find a better place to park itself. And so we do what we're incentivized to do. Capital will go where it is treated best. And I think that equities, we're on a crazy bull run. I could see a correction in the tech, but again, we're in an AI bubble. It could go, we could be in 1998 right now. We're nowhere near 2000. So it's hard to say, right? Hard to say where things are going to go. I see a bunch of familiar faces popping on the stream here. That's awesome. What do you think of Elon's robots? I think they are a little bit of a copy off of the movie I, Robot from 20 years ago with Will Smith. Hopefully it doesn't end the same way as the movie did. Or I guess the movie didn't end all that bad. They were able to, spoiler alert, defeat the evil AI robots. But yeah, hopefully the technology does provide ways to make our life better. I can see it leading to eventually the no longer the need for what you'd call, I guess, like dirty jobs or like low-level labor, probably lead to a universal basic income for everyone. So it'll be, I don't think that it will, I hope that doesn't get to the stage of that movie. But hey, super chat. Let's see. Oh, Chung just sent a $20 super chat. Thank you. I'm thankful for the live streams. Without them, I don't think I would have moved to London and became your mentee. You are appreciated, and I'm happy to see your continued success. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the super chat. It means a lot. All you guys who are jumping in tonight, it means a lot. I've grown a lot with a lot of you guys jumping in my life and influencing it for the better. Made a lot of really great friends along the way. And just because I'm pivoting from the live streams doesn't mean it's the end. It's just the beginning of so much more. I'm excited I'm 31 years old right now, and over the next 10 years, I hope to unlock many new levels. With the amount of experience I've gained, I think I'll be able to catapult to new heights, and hopefully someday be like Ben Mala, god of local real estate with so many buildings that I can share that with you and make some sort of TV show in the future, or some sort of, next level. I don't know what that next level looks like, but I'm excited to bring you guys along for the journey. All right. Oh, wow. There's so many questions. I'm trying to scroll up here. There is so many. I don't know if I get through all these. Thank you guys so much for the love. Oh, these are so great. Thank you. Thank you. Buying a property in the US, shopping rates, Port City says, working with a broker for months, able to get me a rate. However, last minute I found a better deal. I guess what's the ethical thing to do, you're asking. So this is a tough one. I can't major in ethics here for you guys, but I would say like there's something to be said about loyalty, but at the same time you have to go where you're treated best. So if you find maybe on the next deal you go to the new broker because they can get a better rate, maybe this is just an idea that just came to mind, is like, why don't you go to the other broker and say, hey, here's a commitment sheet or a term sheet from the other lender, here's what they're offering, can you get close? And I bet you they can get the rate closer for you. And if they can't, maybe they can work with you in some way to reduce their broker fee, to save the business. Be honest and transparent. I think they'll respect you a lot more if you tell them the truth, that you went and found a better rate elsewhere and you still went with them in the end. That's major kudos. If you don't go with them in the end, they'll understand. It's a competitive business. Mortgage rates are tough. Don't waste people's time. Let them know, as soon as you know. But ethically speaking, I mean, I think you have an ethical obligation to your investors and to your family and to yourself to do a good job finding the best rate possible so you can provide good housing, and it needs to be sustainable. So if you can't get your rates to a reasonable rate, how are you going to be able to provide sustainable housing? You need to be able to get your costs in line, and it's your job to negotiate. I mean, you got to go out there and shop rates, and it's not personal, but maybe you throw a deal their way. If you work with them for so long, I think it's important. I would, if I'd worked with someone, I've worked with agents before that maybe weren't the best agents, but I gave them the business anyway because they'd worked so hard for me for so long. That's where it's like loyalty is important, I think, and respecting people is important. And in this business, there's been several times where I've forgone. There's been times where I've been a shark too, and like I've beat someone else to the deal, and we were both competing for the deal, and I got the deal with the seller, and I locked them up, and like maybe there's some bad blood there because like they worked really hard, I worked really hard, and I won the bid, and they didn't win the bid. Or like maybe I was competing with two mortgage brokers. There's been lots of that that's happened in the business, but there's also been lots of like man to man or man to woman. It's okay. I'm going to, forego 10 basis points or 20 basis points on the rate because I like this person better. And it's important, like rate isn't everything. Terms of the loan are important. How easy is it to work with that lender? Can you renew that term? Is there a huge breakout fee? All of these things might be factored into your decision. It might not just be the face rate. There's a lot of things that go into evaluating like whether a loan is going to make sense or not. And some of it is like the refinanceability of it, all of that stuff that is, I think, important when you're looking at your term sheet, because there might be things you can negotiate in the term sheet. But I think always getting multiple quotes is the smartest way to go. You never know when someone is hungry enough for the business that they'll underquote and give you a huge deal. In which case, like, loyalty is important, but you got to run a business here. So maybe go with the best rate on the next one. On this one, see if they can get close. If it's only a few $100, I think that it's probably worth it to go with the person that you have loyalty with, who you've worked with this whole time, and be transparent and open, and don't do it in a sleazy way. There's been lots of times where it's tricky to do too, when you're busy and you're working on lots of deals. Maybe you forget to call the other broker that you're working with before and let them know that, hey, I went with another broker. Like, don't be that guy that just ghosts them. We've all been there when we're busy, but try not to be that person in this business. It's a long business. It goes a long way if you can keep the communication channels open. And whatever you're doing, communication is so important. It's probably my largest pet peeve in business when someone doesn't communicate. If you don't have the money to pay me back, tell me. If you can't make the interest payment this month, tell me. If you can't make the rent this month, just send me a message. Let me know what's going on. Make a payment plan. Make some sort of like communication. Acknowledge and take accountability. So many people in society today don't take accountability and don't acknowledge. It's frustrating. Some super chats. Let's see. Jonas gave me a super chat. Thanks, Jonas. I'm going to be freed up a little bit on Wednesdays, which is, exciting. Of course, I'm going to miss some of this. I'm going to have to still jump on and make videos. Probably still do the odd live stream, maybe on like Instagram. Maybe I'll even pop on for the odd live stream here, but it won't be on a schedule that is like 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Thank you again for the super chat. It means a lot. Oh, Don Trin sent a super chat as well. Wow, we got like $60 in super chats. Or $56.66, it says. Don says, obviously you've done a lot more for me than this super chat, and I really appreciate everything you've done for everyone trying to reach their personal finance goals. And we wish you the best in your journey. Thank you so much for the super chat and the kind words. It means a lot. We've worked so many years together that it's nice to have this send off with you guys. And remember, it's not over. You guys can still tune in. I'll still make some videos. I'm still out there on socials. Drop me a message. Of course, I'm always accessible. Keep posting on YouTube. You are awesome. I hope you keep posting on YouTube. And I will. You know, there's 30,000 plus followers on here. And my subscriber base has actually not grown at all in 2.5 years. That says something about maybe the way that I've been delivering content. That's on me more than it is on you guys. But it says a lot because subscribers drop off. And it hasn't dropped off. A lot of you guys have stayed on with me through all the years, despite the fact that I make no pre-recorded videos. I only do a weekly live podcast journal once a week. And so I'm so thankful for the 30,000 subscribers and people watching the replay and all of you guys. I'm so thankful for supporting me through this journey. I hope that I've been able to deliver enough value, and I hope to be able to continue to deliver further value. And hopefully I can make more videos that are better engaging, that deliver more value to more people, and reallocate that time to better things. So, okay, wow. There's a lot of questions here. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all these. It's gonna be a long stream tonight. Hey Mike, any interest in vacation home investments in Quebec, Canada? Classic man lifestyle. I just no, to be honest. I'd look at something like in near Calgary maybe. I love that city. I like Florida too. I love being on the cottage country area of Ontario. I love southwestern Ontario. Lake Huron is a beautiful lake too. I could see myself continuing to spend a lot of time the rest of my life. Chunk says, why even create content when you're doing so well with business? That's a good point. And it's been part of the conversation here is like, is there enough value produced from doing these? And per hour, I mean, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours producing these live streams, and they don't produce any money. It's not been about the money. I created this channel initially not for the money, because it doesn't make much in ad revenue. These super chats are all it makes, and YouTube takes 30% of it anyway, or 40% of it. It really comes down to like community service and wanting to give back. And I do a lot of that. Like I respond to a lot of DMs that most people in my position wouldn't even bother responding to. I invest or waste a lot of time investing in other people. And it doesn't always have an ROI. A lot of times people just waste your time. And it's tough deciding on how do you spend that time when you have a finite amount of it in the world, right? You have to decide how do you use that time most effectively. And so there's obviously challenges with, how do you allocate time most effectively? There is something to be said though, like social media is so powerful. And I think that if I could do it well and reach a large audience, I could take my skill, like I have some God-given talents around like deal creation and like high level structuring of building out a nice, like say real estate fund, that I could put together some of the smartest people and some of the most, some of the idle capital. There's a lot of dead capital out there, a lot of dead capital I could access through social media. And so social media is important, I think, as part of an overall business strategy. And forget the business stuff for a second. Like, why do I do it personally? There's some ego there. It feels good to get you guys sending me DMs. Like I feel that's my pay. Like you guys sending me these messages telling me that changed your life. I get long emails sometimes that are like 2 pages long about how someone's watched like 50 of my streams. And over time, they made several important decisions that resulted in like an extra 200 grand that changed their life. They're now married and they've had kids or whatever. And all of that was because they made good financial choices because of a few videos that changed their perspective on everything in life. And so when you can have that kind of touch and that sort of impact on others, it's very rewarding. And giving back, people talk about charity and giving back and volunteering. It's honestly more about what you get personally. Everyone says, oh, it's a selfless act. But like, let's be honest. When you study people who give a lot, most of them are philanthropic because the philanthropy gives them a good feeling. They feel like good people and it helps enrich their life. It's a win-win. Often when you're giving to others, you're getting back. And it's as it should be. I think that's the altruistic giving back should feel good. If it doesn't, you're probably a psychopath. I probably have too much empathy, and that's been something I've been trying to dial back a little bit, especially with tenants. There's been a lot of tenants where like, I have some right now where I go months. They're still months behind on rent. and I'm like working with them still, and they're setting partial rent, and like I have too much empathy because I went through a lot as a kid. Like I moved around a lot. I had a shitty childhood, and I grew up basically in like a foster house. So I understand what having nothing feels like. And I understand what it's like to crawl from the bottom and how hard it is to break out when you're growing up with a poverty mindset and you're growing up without the right nutrition, without the right environment. And environmental factors are so important. Up to 40% of who you are is determined by your environment. And then the genetic makeup that you have, again, a good percentage of that is like how your parents conceived you, when they conceived you, what kind of environment your parents grew up in affects their DNA that they gave to you. So a majority of what we have in life and who we are in life is not in our control. But at a certain point, you have to take accountability of what we can control. And there's a percentage that we can control. And that was what I did as a young kid. I was like, I have friends that were committing suicide, killing themselves. I grew up in a rough area where like I saw a lot of that. People that are in jail now, one of my best friends when I was younger, he's dead right now. He died of a drug overdose, suicide. And so it's like, that was a path I could have ended up on. And so for me, whenever I can have a good impact on someone else and change that, it's like, I want to give back where I can, and that feels good to do that. And I think that's morally, the right thing to do. And so I will continue to try to deliver content where I can. Of course, like crazy busy with all these acquisitions. And I'm going to be excited to make the shift, to make the change. Appreciate your streams. Good Sir DC says, congrats on the final episode. Go enjoy your life. Don't worry about hitting billionaire status. You don't need the aggravation. Eric, I've thought that a bunch of times. Like, is the sacrifice worth it? And I don't know. There's a lot of really wealthy people who say they regret not spending more time with their kids. They regret not, that their first marriage didn't work out because they were making sacrifices for their business. And at the end of the day, it's all just sacrifices. And you have to decide, is this sacrifice going to yield me a positive return in the future? And you don't know. You've got to just make your best guesses and move on. And don't get hung up on the past and decisions you made in the past, because it's not helpful. It doesn't, like I could focus on the fact that I lost $1 million, more than $1 million, stock options trading. Like I probably almost $2 million in total. It's like, I could focus on that, or I could focus on the fact that like I just made several $1 million in real estate, and I'm going to keep making that into the years going forward. And all I can do is look at those past mistakes or whatever choices you made in the past and say, look, how do I move on from this? How do I take something, learn from it, cut off the bad behavior? Because that can be the hard part. Even when you know you're doing the wrong thing, addiction is all about, and gambling in general in the stock market is all about like the endorphin rises we get on the highs and lows. And so that's been when you've seen me in the last year battle with this weakness of mine. And I had to just cut it off cold turkey. I don't options trade, period, now. Because I don't trust myself to make good decisions when I'm led by emotion. And in business, the passion that I have and the emotion and the energy is what gets me the deal over someone else. Because that extra energy gives me the motivation to make that second follow-up call that gets me on the phone, that they can feel my energy and they want to do business with me. My personality does really well focusing and harnessing that energy in real estate and in business. But it doesn't, my personality style doesn't do well in options trading. You need to be like a robot and be able to just like a monk that turns it off, and I don't have that. All the best traders, I guess, do have that. I don't. Even if I did, the heart attacks rates are so high for people in Wall Street and traders. Most of them are bald, fat, and having heart attacks. And so I don't want that life. And it took me a long time to realize that I didn't actually want that. And so that's life, guys, is learning about that stuff, right? All right. Thanks for sharing. You've brought a lot of years of entertainment and learning. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the comment. Thanks for all the streams over the years. I can't wait for the live stream reunion tour one of these days. Yes, that'll come. Hello from Mississauga. Hello, congrats. If you paid subscription for this, I would be down. Your thumb on the pulse in the market is such a learning tool for a newbie like me. Dean says, just followed you on Instagram. Legend. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's something I've thought about. If there was a way that I could do it where it would be very little of my time, and I could just show up, and I'm looking at options to partner with someone to do that, right? Where they could deliver a lot of the content and I could just show up like on a monthly basis, do like a mastermind at my lodge, or one of my I have beautiful properties all over the world where I could, like in Florida, in Ontario would be the two places I'd love to do it the most, but someday in Costa Rica and the Bahamas. it'd be nice to have some sort of mastermind, have a group of us who are all focused on the same things, have that same like energy towards like building business and real estate and just that camaraderie. You feed off each other, right? And you need that in your life. And so I'm looking for that too. And there's still a void I want to fill with that. So if you're interested, by the way, in that, I'm going to leave my email here, Rosehart, Roschart, capital, Capital, Rosehart Capital @gmail.com. Send me an email and just say like mastermind in the title or like mentorship and hit me up because maybe there's something there. Someday I'll come back, find all those emails and put together a group of people or something and we'll, it'd be tax deductible even too, right? If we can create something like that where we could go on some really cool exotic vacations or masterminds and stuff like that and learn and grow and cross-pollinate. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a networking session where I met someone and we ended up doing business together. And so those are like, that's where 2 + 2 = 6. Sometimes it equals more than 4 when you can combine the right types of people in the right types of ways. Would you ever be overemployed, as in do 2 remote jobs in the same industry for 2 paychecks without the employer knowing? A little bit of moonlighting. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. As an employer, I don't want that at all. But as someone who's like looking towards financial independence, yeah, remote work makes it so easy now to work from home and do 2 jobs at once. There's so many times I was in the office. I used to work I worked 3 years in consulting. I was an analyst. I was an analyst at a firm where I wrote books for a living. I wrote like 300-page slide decks on various topics like AI infrastructure, data centers. It's more like bringing business into IT is what I did. And then I was a senior analyst, and then I was a manager, which I did basically the same thing, but I had a small team under me. And in those 3 years, it was not that bad of a job. I shouldn't complain, but like I was looking forward to getting out of that job so badly that I would spend like all my lunches, any spare time I had, working on real estate. And I was taking on so many deals. I think I peaked 10 deals at once in real estate where I was all renovating at various stages, renting them out. And I had like a business going on the side that was as big, at some points, much, much bigger than my day job. So I'm all for moonlighting. Why not? If you can make it work and you can keep both employers happy, why not? Better than just sitting around watching like, Instagram videos while you're at work. Be more focused. So I have 3 kids, Saddam Skinner. I currently have 3 kids. Someday I might have more. I'm not opposed to the idea. Managing work-life balance is obviously a challenge with 3 young kids. My daughters are 8, 5, and 3. So very, very busy. I just, how do you manage? Well, what I do is I go from opportunity to opportunity and I go full power. So I go from my kids to my phone, to work, to this issue, to that issue, back to my kids again. And that's all you do. It's just, you just try to balance. So it's one of those challenges, right? Where like nothing's perfect. There is sacrifice. The amount of things that I do, it's tough. Admittedly, I do a lot. I should do less. My personal life, I prioritize it, but there are certain things like I have no extracurriculars that I do currently. Literally my family and my work. I mean, I'll watch like the odd show, or like I do have downtime because you need downtime to be productive. Anyone who says they can work 16 hours a day, no. Everyone has downtime. You need it. It's important. You need 8 hours sleep. You need 2-3 hours of downtime a day. To be at your optimal level, you need to force downtime in your calendar. And if that is, watching a movie or getting in your hot tub or whatever. For me, sometimes it's like cutting the grass or like going outside and like doing landscaping. Like I've been planting trees in my backyard. It's like I planted like 25 trees this summer. And they're like, I have like one that's like 15 feet tall. Planting trees was one of the things that I did this summer, which like I could easily have outsourced it. It didn't provide any value to my property. I just wanted to go out there and connect with the soil. And that was something I was doing every night this summer to sort of like decompress and get through a lot of the struggles, right? When like someone messages like, this happened this summer, one of our apartments caught on fire. The tenants burned it almost to the ground. It was like the whole thing caught on fire. At a flood at another property. Like, how do you deal with those kinds of stresses? Or like the stock stuff where like I lost at one point, I think $250,000 in one day. Gone. In 1 week, I lost 500 grand in options this year that happened in 2024. That stuff's crazy. Like, that's part of business, I guess. But yeah, how do you get through that? You just do. You just push through. Thank you for the value add. You're awesome. Thanks again. James says, Mike, we loved your live streams. You provide a lot of value on your investing journey and on my investing journey. Thanks, James. Wen says, we're going to miss your live streams. Thank you, Mike, again. No problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you, all of you guys, for these kind words. Next question was, here it is. Always appreciate the value you provided. Thanks, Brendan. Kabito says, historically, jumbo cuts was a sign of a recession. Let's see what the future brings. That's true, actually. Typically, a jumbo cut is that the Fed got behind. They're saying, hey, we didn't cut fast enough, so we need to do a double cut to catch up. And it's usually a sign that there's a recession to come. In the short term, it's actually bearish. In the long term, it's actually bullish because low interest rates, they cultivate investment, and it's really good for real estate. But yes, could be a sign of more pain to come. Possible. Early in my career, do you have any advice on how I can be successful in the coming years? Well, what did I say at the end of all of my streams? 3 levers and control your financial future. I coined that term 8 years ago, the catchphrase, and I've heard many rips on it over the years. I was the first. There was nothing even close out there. But yeah, you got to focus on the 3 levers of wealth creation. The first one is like controlling what you spend. In the beginning, I think people spend too much of their income. So spend less of your income in the beginning and then reinvest that into strategies to earn more money. So that's how you bring your knowledge game up, you bring your skill set up, and as your skills grow and your knowledge grows, you can command more money. That often means working a second job, putting in extra time too, because not just money input, but time input. And you crank that earning more lever, so your divide between what you're spending, what you're earning goes like this, and you spend less and you earn more, and then you have a massive gap that you're throwing into your third lever, which is what you're investing in. And what you invest in is so important in the end of the journey, but not so important in the beginning. A lot of people get hung up on like, what do I invest in? What do I invest in? I'm sitting in a savings account, not sure what to put my money into. Put it into something. Buy the S&P 500. Split it out in a little bit of crypto. Maybe buy the S&P 500, a little VTI, ETFs that cover the world indexes. Buy a little piece of everything. Get exposure to United States, Canada, Europe, all of that. Get a little exposure to everything, and then worry about later into your journey, then you worry about like, how do I do some lending or how do I buy some rental properties? But in the beginning, just getting a wide breadth of exposure into a little piece of everything, you're fully diversified, really hard to lose, and it will compound and grow 7-8%. But 7-8% on $1,000 is like nothing, right? We're talking like $70 a year. But if you have a couple $1 million, you need to focus on lever 3 really hard. Lever 1 of what you're spending personally doesn't really matter. If you're earning $1 million a year, you can't possibly, maybe there's some exceptions, but you can't possibly spend a large percentage of that. And if you are, you need to make some big changes, obviously. But it's hard to spend that kind of wealth. I think it's more important to focus on as you are earning a lot of money, you need to focus on how do I earn even more money? Where can I invest my time most wisely? Someone in a salary job making 40 grand a year, probably important to focus on how they're saving their money, right? Because they don't have a way to just grow their salary exponentially. But an entrepreneur could easily grow their business 100% over 2 years if they put the time in there instead of being frugal. And that's been a shift for me where I've learned my income went way up by investing my time into growth. So, been watching you since undergrad 5 years ago. Thankful for frugal finance life, personal growth lessons. God bless. Thank you for the nice comments. At one point that was I took on very few students, but I teach flipping and real estate investing. Sammy says, I'm going to miss these lives. I wish you all the best. Hope to meet you one day. Oh, thank you for that one as well. Is this the last Wise Wealth Wednesday? And Mike Rosehart live show? Yes, it is the last one for now. We may have a reunion tour in the future. We do the odd live stream here or there, but the Wednesday show has finally come to an end after over 7 long years of never missing a stream. I think I've proved to you all that I can be consistent longer than the market can be irrational. I have the staying power. Is there a way where we can network with each other, like during the live streams? I guess, there's got to be a way we can make a community of some sort. I'll think on that idea. Of course, in the comments section of all my videos, we can still jump in and you guys can still riff with each other. I'll be still releasing videos, so jump on those videos, and that's where we can all have an open dialogue and connect. And of course, there's still the place for still the room for us to connect on social media. So another person says, you are a legend. Thank you for that. Thank you for the value add. You're awesome. Another one says, we'll definitely miss the weekly streams. Thank you so much for the wealth and knowledge you've shared over the years, Mike. I'm in a better place as an investor because of you. Thanks, John. And you've been doing a lot of great work too. I've been enjoying watching your content, watching you grow on social media and some of the flips you've been doing. And it's been fun to be part of funding some of your deals. So that's been a cool experience as well. James says, one last question. It's a stock question. So I'm saying it's undervalued. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't done any information on it, and I'm not gonna give any stock advice. I haven't, you can't give an opinion if you haven't spent the time, and I have no idea about that stock. I haven't really followed it. So I'm gonna refrain and abstain from an opinion on that. Oh, thank you for that comment too. The Ben Mala of London. Oh, so many great comments here. Appreciate your streams, good sir. Oh, that's nice too. This one's a good one. I'll read this one. You share a lot of the stress of the stock losses and headaches and taking on so much real estate transactions. You mentioned you could go to billionaire versus having more quality time, relaxing, enjoying your life, and doing the early retirement thing, which was initially the reason why I unlocked financial independence and worked so hard. So the next part of your question was, how do you know what's the right choice for you? What if you chose family and retirement and then you can't stop? What then? Therapy? Again, like that question is a deep philosophical one and one that I wrestle with all the time. Some days I wake up and I'm like, why am I working so hard? I've already made it. I've got a huge real estate portfolio. I by all accounts, 7 years ago, if you asked if I could be where I am now, I'd be like, let's go. Like, I'm so excited. That's awesome to jump that gap and get to where I am now. So I've progressed a ton. I've grown a lot. I've failed a lot. And you mentioned that I share a lot of that in this channel. Part of my brand is around transparency. A lot of the gurus only do positive posts. They don't share their negative. They don't share that they lost X money investing in whatever private mortgage, or that they invested in these stocks and it didn't go well. They only share the wins. Everyone always does that on social media. And I don't like that. I like to focus on my losses more than anything. I actually for the last 2 years, I've just been focusing on my losses. I'll go make $1 million in real estate and you won't even hear about it. I don't even tell you about it. But if I lose money, you'll hear about it because there's a lesson there. The winning isn't as important. Obviously, I can win. I share lots of the win stuff too. But the losses are where we learn. A smart guy like Mike Rosehart can still fail at, say, stock investing. And what does that teach you? It teaches you that 99% of all stock investors over a 25-year period will lose. Many will win over a 5-year period or a 10-year period. They'll have huge runs in bull markets. But let's see over the long period of time how it actually plays out. And when they look at the meta-analysis of all of the Wall Street hedge funds and mutual funds, they don't beat just holding the S&P 500. For all the aggravation, all the effort, they don't beat it. And so I guess circling back, I like to share those things with you guys so you can see why. If I can't do it, and really smart people that I know also can't do it, and there's a lot of luck involved, to be honest, with stock trading, just don't. Buy a portfolio of buy and hold, get exposure to everything. Don't try to pick individual names, and you will do really well in life. In business, where you have a control to develop alpha, okay, but it's really, really hard to develop an alpha or an edge in the stock world because you're competing against the best and the brightest. And to keep that alpha requires a lot of energy, a lot of input. That part sucks. It's a full-time commitment to stay ahead on the curve of a stock trader. So anyone who's a stock trader can't be early retired. And so it's like, I can't be the early retired that I want to be and be a stock trader. So it rips apart my identity. Because on one side, I want to be focused on being with my family. And I want to be there for my friends. And I want to enjoy my life. And you can't do that at the same time. It's very difficult. I think at some point, I will early retire again. I've thought about it. Next year might be a year of early retirement in the sense that I hire the right people to systemize my business so that I'm no longer the operator of the business. I am sitting back as an investor in the business. And that's what I'm working towards right now is like, I don't want to be the operator in the business. I want to be the investor in the business. And so that means I'm there from a high level strategic oversight and like to earn my my return in my business, I have to lean in occasionally, but I only lean in at high value moments where it's $1,000 an hour or $5,000 an hour task. And I have teams of people who will coordinate all of the challenges in the day to day. And so that means I won't grow as quickly. But if I step out of the operator CEO role and into the investor role, my business won't grow as quickly. But it's like I have to ask myself those critical questions like, is $100,000 a month passive income enough? I'll never be a billionaire at that level. I have to grow faster if I want to be a billionaire. So it's like, that's it. Am I okay to have 100 million when I get to 60 or 65 or whatever, or 200 million or 250 million? Is that okay versus $1.5 billion? Those are all questions you got to wrestle with. I struggle being a type A personality with the fact that I could be a billionaire. I have the genetic potential. I have all of the aptitudes for it. All I have to do is apply myself. But at what cost? What is the sacrifice? I'm not going to be able to do the things that I want to do all the time. That means a lot of sacrifice to get to where I need to be if I want to get to that level. How do you answer that question? I wish. There's probably a philosophical set of thought processes and questions you could ask yourself, or you could do like the Toyota 5 whys and go deep about why you really want something, what the root cause of said problem is when you're trying to dissect like what's wrong with yourself, when you're looking into like self-improvement is so important, right? And I'm looking into how to improve myself. And I struggle, is being a billionaire the best version of myself? That would have the most impact on the world potentially, maybe, or maybe it's not. Maybe I have the most impact by focusing my energy and helping individual cases. And I could have a whole bunch of impact on like 1,000 people, like a really meaningful impact versus a small, not very significant impact on millions of people. Good problems to have, first world problems to have. And yeah, I don't know. It's, I'm blessed to have these problems, and overall, I'm thankful for the life that I have. And for all of you guys who have joined in on this journey with me, I'm so thankful for all of you guys. It's meant the world to me. People are just commenting here down below. What are your worst investments? Anytime I try to time the market is when I've lost the most. I like to just not try to time the market anymore. Gonna miss you on Wednesday. I miss you guys too, all of you guys. And that doesn't mean it's over. It's the end of an era. We'll still all connect. We'll still do the odd, maybe reunion stream. We'll all remember that, what is today's date? I think it's October 16th. October 16th was the last stream, 2024. So we'll look back and maybe we'll do a reunion stream. Been with you pre-live stream with you and Matt McKeever. I've learned so much from you and admire how transparent you've been and all the knowledge you've given freely. And it has come to bite me in the ass several times. Oversharing is something I need to work on. I haven't taken a look at that yet. I haven't had a chance. Been too busy today, to be honest. 25K cash on the table. Do you guys remember that video I did with Graham Stephan where I put I think it was like $500,000 cash on the table? This was like when I was a kid. I was like maybe 24. I actually went around to all the banks and got like 20,000 to each bank. And I put together it was like $250,000 or something on a table. I think we called it $1 million, but it wasn't actually $1 million. It was like structured in such a way that it looked like $1 million, but it was still a ton of money back then. And I got that all out in cash. I made that video. Go check it out. For those people, there's always people who are like, oh, he's not real. He's a faker or whatever. It's like, pull my name, pull my corporations, go see the properties that I own. You can see the title. Well, I can't see all the title. I had some stuff through different entities, but you can find a lot of stuff, enough to prove that I'm legit. But that's a fun video back in the day that gave me some credibility. Yeah, go through my stories too. You can see all the shares. There's too many screenshots of the different stock portfolios and things that it would be too hard to fake all that. Too many people would have called me out by now. DW says, love you, Mike. You've inspired me, and I bet many others to become financially free. I'm going to miss these lives, but it is what it is. Enjoy your time with your family. Thank you. Grinder says, you're the GOAT of real estate investing. Oh, thank you. I hope to continue to build that brand just in a different way, and I hope to keep connecting with you guys into the future. And it's been a good hour and 15 minutes here. Everyone's been jumping in and giving me all the heartfelt, goodbyes and connecting. And honestly, just if you're still watching this on the replay, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, and leave a comment for me. It would mean a lot. And obviously hit the notification button because I'm going to drop more videos and you guys will get to see those videos. And I promise that those videos will be as good quality of content as these live streams are. So you will still get a nugget from me. At least once a month, I will make a video and it will have some valuable information in it that will hopefully make your guys' life a little bit better. Thank you for all the info over the years. It's been a huge help. Thank you, David. So many people jumping in. There's been hundreds of you guys tuning in tonight, and I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in. It really has been, an amazing experience sharing my life with you guys for the last 7 or 8 years, and through all the highs and lows, and the failures and the wins, and thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's really been an amazing experience, and I'm excited to grow. I think it's high time that I spend some time to grow this channel and get into a bigger audience. And hopefully all of you guys who join the live streams will follow me into whatever I go into next, and wherever I go, you'll be there to support. And that's what this is about, and me there to support you guys. So keep an eye out, keep a notification bell on. I will drop more videos. I will give you more opportunities to engage with all of my content. And of course, hopefully engage with me in person at some point, or further onto social media on Instagram or Facebook. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. For the last time on a live stream, I'm going to say the catchphrase that I came up with 8 years ago, which is: the secret to unlocking a wealthier you is 3 levers and control your financial future. Spend less, earn more, and maximize returns in the difference. Bye, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Happy Wednesday.